reading from the book Spirit of Homeopathy, book written by Dr.Rajan Sankaran, and mind sections, chapter number 28, Dreams, part 2. Dreams as delusion. The other section of the repertoire we can use for the dream is the one on delusion. For example, dream of snacks can be taken as symbol with the delusion seeing snack because they are similar. Delusion is saying that what does not exist. Dreaming too is to see what does not exist. A delusion is to see things in a different way, and in a dream also is to see things in a different way. Yet to take a delusion instead of dream is also not good enough. What is important is to get the reaction, whether it is a delusion, a fear, or an anxiety. Now, one case is there. Case 1. As an example, he had a dream of a 35-year-old male patient who came with a tingling and numbness in his arm, which was diagnosed as a frozen shoulder. I did not believe this and sent him for neurological opinion, which revealed a malignant tumor in his spinal cord. He was operated on, then resumed treatment with us. I was trying to get his history. He came with his father, who did most of the talking. In this way, he seems to be childish, dependent, and except for this, I did not get much information. I asked about his dreams, and he said he had absolute no dreams. I tried to find out the situation in his life when the trouble started. The situation was that he got married and there was a conflict between his mother and his wife, and he did not know what to do. I was always dependent on my mother right from my childhood, and I was always with her. Then my wife came in, and my mother and wife did not get along with each other. I could not separate from my mother, and at the same time I could not see my wife suffering. Ultimately, we did separate from my parents, and this affected me a lot. At this stage, my trouble started. I tried to find out what the feeling was at that time. Was it anger, sadness, something else? He could not say what. So I kept on asking for more than half an hour in many ways what the feeling was, but it was not possible to get any clue. Finally, I had a thought. Tell me, did you have any dream at that time? Yes, doctor. There is a one dream I remember that came again and again. I used to dream that I am in a sea. There is nobody around me. There is a storm, and I am feeling very frightened. I asked, are you in a boat or swimming or holding onto something? I don't know. I couldn't see that. I could only see myself in a sea with the storm around me. The beauty was that in the dream he was doing absolutely nothing to get out of this. He was just there like a baby lost in the woods. Therefore, I took the rubric delusion alone in wilderness for second feeling, delusion danger impression off. I also took fear water off and helplessness feeling off, because he was making no attempt to help himself, just sitting helpless with danger from all sides. He is terrorized, feel alone and lost, but does do nothing. This was his feeling in that situation. His house was in the storm. He was alone, lost like a baby in a wood. And why? Because of his tendency to cling to his mother. So I took the rubric clinging. The child was pulled away from the mother and felt lost. So I took clinging to person. From these, I came to the drugs stramonium, which helped him a lot. His first reactions after taking a stramonium 200 was that he had a dream that he is flying and he has no wings. For a time he feels scared, but then suddenly he realized that he has the power to fly and make a very beautiful landing and feels happy about it. This shows a change of feeling, like a baby who was clinging to his mother now tries out his wings and know it can fly and it can land safely. The dreams identify the exact feeling. He was 35-year-old and was an officer in a bank. So you can imagine with what great difficulty, I got the feeling of his having a clung to his mother and cling to his mother and feeling for a second like a baby. He would never consciously admit to such feeling. As a sidelight, what would the remedy of the mother be? First of all, you can see she is the strong woman, dictatorial, who does not allow her child to be independent and allow them to cling to her. She has kept him clinging for 30 years, and then when his wife came and want to share a little bit of him, she gets wild. She would not allow it, and thus that caused the quarrels. I have thought of legacies for her mother on other sides. Case number 2, I have heard many wonderful dream stories from the patients. Here are some examples. A woman of around 50 years repeatedly have a dream that there is a fireplace in her house from which all kind of beautiful, cuddly, strange animal come out. She described it thus: "Oh, the animal are so beautiful, so nice, so cuddly, having white hair, fluffy, with their tails winging and all strange form. But all nice, very beautiful, and they all come towards me and hug them and play with them. There are small rabbits, small puppies, and cuddly little mongoose, among other creatures. This place is like a garden with all kind of beautiful plant, flowers, and grass, and other little things. Very vivid, she described them. Then out of this fireplace come a snack like a monster, and I get frightened. The snack monster is coming out. I don't want to come out. Then a big black dog also come out of the fireplace, but this one is not the fluffy little things. It is a watchdog. It stands there and it does not allow the snack monster to come out. It pushes it back inside, and that monster is trying to come out and bite all of them. What is the theme of this dream? We first see innocence and beauty coming out of the fireplace. This fireplace is her own mind, her own subconscious, and from which is coming out a lot of innocence, beauty, affection, and sympathy. From that, some fireplace of her subconscious come ugliness and venom, and she does not want this to come out. She only wants innocence. The monster of the fireplace has to be kept inside, and so the black dog, the guard between her consciousness and her subconsciousness, stop this monster from coming out and pushes it back inside. She knows that if the monster comes out and bites, it will poison all the beauty around, and she is anxious about it. I took the rubric. Delusion sees beautiful landscape, sympathetic, affectionate, communicative on one side, and on other side I took cruelty, malicious, deceitful, hatred, ugliness. From this I came to the remedy lachesis and got a wonderful result. We may have feel less trouble and more direct dreams, and of these I will give two. Another example. Here is the dream of the man who by occupation is the trainer of the stuntman of a motorcycle. The situation in life is that the student of his are not obeying him. They are not following his instruction, and therefore they are getting harmed. They do not do it the way he suggests. They do it their way, and when he tries to warn them, they are angry with him, and so the dream was he is riding his motorcycle and is coming to the dead end of the street. He stopped, and from behind a military vehicle, means jeep, is coming up flying, taking two somersault and coming back to the same street. When this is when this is happening, a motorcycle rider is coming from behind him, and our patient tells him, "Stop, there is a danger." The man does not listen to him. He goes on, and jeep comes and cut his body into two. The body lying on the floor is cut into the two parts, and the horse cart comes from behind. The horse frees itself from the cart and grips his hair of the dead body. So the upper half of the body is in a its mouth, and it is trying to drag the body away. And when our patient tries to grab tight and get it separated from the horse, suddenly the head comes to life, attack him and tries to kill him. The patients wake up with a fright. I do not know all the meaning of that dream, but I interpret it is a simple way that first you see something horrible in the dream. So I took horrible things and stories affect him profoundly. And what does he do when he faces this trouble, horrible scenes? He tries to help. There is a sympathetic attitude. He wants other people not to suffer, but they do not listen to them. How does he feel? He feels helpless. He cannot do anything. So I took the sympathetic rubric and helpless feeling off. He tries to tell the person to stop. There is a danger ahead. Yet that follows later tries to kill him. So also taking fear, murder of being. I came to the phosphorus medicine. Now another case, one more case of the woman of the around 45-year lady, a very successful woman as a assistant manager of the big company in the Bombay. She came with a very bad eczema on both her leg, oozing and painful for 2-3 months before she came to me. She was completely disabled. She could not go anywhere. She had to be at alone. The interview lasted for only around 15 minutes. I began with, "Tell me, what is your problem?" She said, "It is the eczema and it is so bad." I asked, "Can you tell me the reason for it?" And she replied, "It could be a psychological." And I asked, "And what is the psychological things?" "Oh, some problem. I don't know, some family problem." "What kind of problem you face?" She said, "Some tension, nothing to do with my husband, some tension." She could not talk about it, so I said, "Okay, tell me about your dreams." "I get the recurrent dream of stool, passing stool, or a stool lying around." When she was saying this, she never looked straight at me. She was looking from side to side and moving his eye quickly. "Tell me about dreams of the stool." I asked, "Tell me about dreams of your the stool." She said, "Okay, doctor, I will tell you the problem. You see, I have a son who is mentally retarded and he gets convulsion. Every time before he gets convulsion, I get the dream of stool. During the pregnancy, I had dreamed that there were a lot of stools and the head of the child was coming out of it, and somebody, means God know who, was pushing it back. At that time, I knew that the child would not be okay." When she was saying this, her eyes were moving very fast. She added in a quiet way, almost in a whispering way, I feel I could have avoided. I could have done something. Nobody is in her office know that she has this son, even though she has been working for last 15 years. She avoids all social contacts. She is very efficient in her work, but she does not attend any parties or go out of the holiday trips, even though she is entitled to do so. Her husband is helpful, but she feels very responsible for the child, as if she alone were responsible. The rubrics were grief undemonstrative, anxiety of conscience as if guilty of a crime, anxiety about the future, company aversion to, delusion she has done wrong, delusion she has done wrong, delusion she is a criminal, indisposed to talk, delusion she has neglected her duty, going out of home aversion to. The remedy I found for her was the cyclamen. Patak Matriamadika sum it up in the 3 words: terror of conscience. Now we come to the point of this case, which is the dream. Dream of stool is not found in a cyclamen. It is given for the 5 remedies, namely the aloes, castanea vesca, sorinum, sarsaparilla, and zinc metallicum. Cyclamen is absent. So what is the meaning of this dream of the stool? Now we can see that the real theme or the feeling or meaning behind this dream is symbolic language. The child is now suffering because it was drowning in her own shit, and therefore she is the guilty party and criminal who has to keep quiet and atone for her crime. She is completely alone because it is her own fault that the child was suffering. This comes very close to the situation of the cyclamen. The situation of the state is what? The actual situation of cyclamen is that of the woman who had done something wrong, and out of that wrong act something bad has happened, and so she cannot open her mouth. She has to keep it all inside, just try to rectify it as much as possible. She has to avoid all social contact. She feels totally alone. That is the original situation of cyclamen. The dreams comes closer to this situations. The cyclamen situation is the situation of man who has messed it up and nobody knows that he has done it. Hence, the movement of the eyebrows like a criminal, the unwillingness to reveal the crime, and the feeling of being solely responsible like a criminal, not professional criminal, but a man who has inadvertently committed a crime. The dream of the woman put the final seal of the confirmation on the prescription of the cyclamen, which soon clean up her skin problem. Now, under the label, which dream do we remember? There is evidence that all of us dream. The means that in some way dreams are useful, since nothing occurs that is not useful. Yes, nothing occurs that is not useful. We remember some dreams and cannot remember the rest. Both these type of dreams must have their own utility. One thing to be noted is that people who do not remember their dream usually wake up with a particular mood of the dream, like happiness, fear, etc. Those who do not remember the dream wake up in a quite a normal mood, even though they might have gone to sleep on the previous day with anxious thought or anger or the sadness. We can assume that in some way the sleep and unremembered dream restore balance to the troubled mind. In this sense, the unremembered dreams complete the day's business and put man at peace with himself and the world. This happens especially when the situation is not so intense. I am even tempted to say that the unremembered dream is the body's way of healing itself of minor disturbance, especially psychological one. However, when the situation real or perceived required some strong specific feeling in order that the person should adopt the proper posture to combat it, the dreams then force themselves into the waking state also and are remembered along with their specific things, specific feelings. The more we conscious do not adopt the posture required by the real or perceived situation, the stronger and more vivid remember the dream will be. A simple example, we may take the case of student whose survival depend upon his preparing well for the examination, but who tells himself that he has nothing to fear and that he needs not study so hard. This student is very likely to get a dream of facing examination and not knowing the answer. The dream will be remembered and could be useful to him. We know that the disease is delusion. The actual situation may not exist, but the patient perceives the situation to be so. The delusion may be that he is a student whose survival depends on the success in the examination. Though here this is not exactly the case. If this patient try to tell himself that he has no such anxiety, he too will get similar dreams. Thus, the person who will have the most vivid dreams, which will be remembered with their specific feeling, is the one who needs to have those feeling or fear the most. In other words, he is the only one whose actions are not intense enough for the real or perceived situation. This could be due to his trying to compensate very heavily for his feeling. Therefore, the more compensated the man is, the more his dream will be remembered. The more out of touch with his feeling he is, the more his dream will be remembered. The more intense the situation is, the more his dream will be remembered. Conversely, the person who does not remember his dream will be the one whose behavior is totally uncompensated and who is in touch with the feeling and does not suppress or deny them to himself. We may conclude that the person who does not remember his dreams at all is the one whose action and feeling are in a tune with his basic perception of reality, means basic delusion.